Six figures for a single photograph. 6 figures for one carefully framed glimpse of Meghan Markle standing beside Archie and Lilibet on British soil, and that valuation came straight from a veteran Fleet Street royal correspondent who didn't hesitate when asked. But what unfolded in Northamptonshire during the second week of July 2025 didn't just meet that number, it shattered the entire logic behind it. Because this wasn't a photo caught by a lurking lens. This was access. Controlled, restricted, historically protected access. And someone, somewhere, decided to open a door that had been locked for nearly 3 decades. At the center of it all sits Althorp Estate in Northamptonshire, where a quiet stretch of water hides something far more significant than scenery. That lake, unremarkable at first glance, surrounds an island that was deliberately engineered to be unreachable. No bridge, no path, no accidental wandering. Charles Spencer, the 9th Earl Spencer, personally removed the crossing years ago, making it clear the water existed to keep away what he called the deranged and the morbid. This wasn't landscaping, it was defense. Because 4 separate attempts had already been made over 20 years to physically reach Princess Diana's remains, and Spencer stopped every single one. So, hold that image tightly, an island designed to keep everyone out. And then ask yourself how, in the second week of July 2025, that same island became the backdrop for one of the most controlled yet explosive image releases in recent royal memory. Because on Thursday, July 23rd, Meghan Markle uploaded 11 images to Instagram. Hidden within that gallery was the photograph that detonated everything. Prince Harry walking with Archie and Lilibet, carrying flowers, captured from behind along a tree-lined pathway that could only exist in one place, Althorp. No faces shown, no direct acknowledgement. But the location spoke louder than anything else. And while the public argued over taste, appropriateness, and intent, one question sat untouched, almost ignored. Who granted entry? Because entry to that island isn't symbolic, it's logistical. It requires transport across water that was specifically designed to prevent access. It requires permission, coordination, knowledge, and yet, instead of that question dominating headlines, the narrative drifted toward whether the post felt right. That distraction may have been convenient, because the real story isn't about feelings. It's about access, authority, and control. Now step back and watch the sequence unfold. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle arrive in the United Kingdom. They move across the country, meet King Charles at Highgrove House for barely an hour, stay privately for 2 nights, and then leave. And during that entire visit, something unprecedented happens. The British tabloids get nothing. No arrival shots, no departure photos, no roadside glimpses, no leaks. The most aggressively watched couple in British media history moved through the country completely unseen. That alone dismantles a narrative repeated for years that Harry and Meghan cannot exist in Britain without relentless intrusion. But during this trip, privacy wasn't theoretical. It was proven, demonstrated, total, and then, after achieving what they've long claimed is impossible, Meghan Markle released it herself freely, deliberately, and globally. That contradiction isn't accidental. Nobody gives away something worth 6 figures unless what they gain is far more valuable. And then comes the timing. July 22nd, 2025, Prince William and Catherine released Prince George's 13th birthday portrait from Kensington Palace. A controlled, modest image, exactly what the moment required. 24 hours later, July 23rd, Meghan's 11-image Instagram post drops. Same news cycle, same audience attention. And instantly, the narrative shifts. The birthday of the future king is no longer the focal point. Instead, the conversation pivots to Diana's grave, Harry's children, and a location that carries unmatched emotional weight. That's not coincidence. That's collision. And here's where the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Royal correspondents have tracked repeated instances where Sussex media activity aligns closely with major Wales family moments. Not once, not twice. A pattern. And patterns in royal media aren't accidents, they're strategy. Which brings everything back to Charles Spencer. Because while the world argued over Meghan, Spencer stood silent. Completely silent. This is a man who rejected Netflix's request to film at Althorp. A man who blocked physical intrusions for decades. A man who built an actual moat to protect his sister's resting place. And now, after images from that same location circulate globally, he says nothing. That silence creates two equally explosive possibilities. Either he authorized the visit and is now absorbing consequences he didn't anticipate, or he didn't authorize what followed and is dealing with a breach so personal it cannot be publicly addressed. Both scenarios carry weight. Both reshape the power dynamics inside that family. And then another layer emerges. King Charles reportedly set strict conditions for the Highgrove meeting. No photographs, no publicity, no interviews. Spencer allegedly imposed a similar condition at Althorp. No cameras. Two authority figures. Two sets of boundaries. And yet, within days, 11 images appear online, which exposes something deeper than miscommunication. It reveals a pattern. Rules followed only at their narrowest definition, then bypassed entirely. Because banning cameras doesn't necessarily ban smartphones. And that loophole may be the most revealing detail of all. Now shift focus to Prince Harry. Because while much of the blame has centered on Meghan, Harry was physically present. He stood on that island. He carried those flowers. And he understands that location better than anyone. In his memoir Spare, published globally in over 40 languages, he described exactly why the bridge was removed, exactly why the island was protected, exactly what it meant. And yet, years after explaining its sacred isolation to the world, he returned and allowed that isolation to be broken. Compare that to July 1st, 2017, Diana's 56th birthday. A private ceremony at the same site attended by Prince William, Catherine, Prince Harry, and the Archbishop of Canterbury. Not a single photograph emerged. Not one. Everyone present understood the boundary and respected it. Fast forward to July 2025. Same location, same purpose, completely different outcome. Something changed. And that change isn't subtle, it's structural. Now widen the lens further. Because Diana herself wasn't a passive figure in media strategy. She actively shaped it. From Andrew Morton's Diana, Her True Story to the 1995 Panorama interview, she pioneered what can only be described as controlled disclosure, revealing just enough to shift the narrative while maintaining plausible deniability. And that exact strategy appears to have resurfaced at Althorp, an unreachable island, a strict no cameras rule, total press blackout during the visit, and then suddenly 11 curated images released by the family themselves. Not leaked, not stolen. Selected, sequenced, controlled. That's not a breach of privacy. That's a controlled breach of privacy. And if you're wondering why Prince William is reportedly furious, consider this. He built his entire public role around restraint, discipline, and controlled visibility, largely in response to the chaos that defined his mother's final years. And now, that same media strategy appears to be re-emerging, this time directed at him, using the most emotionally charged location possible. But the contradictions don't stop there. Because during the exact same time frame these photos were taken, poolside moments, seaside dinners, relaxed summer scenes reports described something entirely different. Tension, security disputes, emotional strain, even claims of Prince Harry nearly breaking down. And yet, weeks later, that same period is presented as idyllic, peaceful, perfect. Two narratives, same timeline, no reconciliation. One royal correspondent put it bluntly: the photos don't contradict the crisis narrative, they overwrite it. And that overwrite may be the most strategic move of all. Because if there is one final layer to this story, it points directly to the future, specifically 2027, the 30th anniversary of Princess Diana's death. Reports already suggest a documentary project in development. And if that's true, then these images may not just be personal memories. They may be content. Because imagine the value. Prince Harry bringing Archie and Lilibet to Diana's grave for the first time. Never before seen footage. Emotional resonance at a global scale. That isn't just storytelling. That's a narrative asset. And if that possibility holds even a fraction of truth, then the question shifts entirely. This was never just about a photograph. It was about what that photograph becomes next. And this is where the story stops being about a single post and starts looking like the opening move of something much bigger. Because once those 11 images hit Instagram, they didn't just spark outrage. They reset the entire power dynamic inside the royal narrative. Suddenly, The Sussexes weren't reacting to the system anymore. They were controlling the conversation, dictating the angle, deciding what the world sees and when it sees it. And the rest of the family? They were left responding to something they didn't authorize, didn't anticipate, and couldn't undo. Because here's the part that tightens everything. No one disputed the authenticity of the location. No palace denial. No Spencer clarification. No legal pushback. Silence across every authority that could have shut this down in hours. And in royal strategy, silence is never empty, it is chosen. It is calculated. It is protection or paralysis. And right now, it's impossible to tell which one is in play. But the consequences are already unfolding. Prince William, the future king, is now positioned in a situation where his mother's legacy is being publicly shaped without his involvement. Again, and this time, it's not the press doing it. It's his own brother. That changes everything. Because you can fight tabloids. You can't fight family without detonating something far more permanent. So William does what he's always done. He says nothing. But that silence isn't acceptance. It's containment. And containment only works until something breaks through it. Which brings everything back to timing, because nothing about this was rushed. The visit was controlled. The images were curated. The release was delayed. That gap matters, because it proves the decision wasn't emotional, it was deliberate. And deliberate decisions always serve a purpose. So what was the purpose? If this was personal, it would have stayed private just like July 1st, 2017. If this was accidental, it would have been messy, inconsistent, unstructured, but it wasn't. It was precise. And precision in royal storytelling is never random, which leads directly to 2027. Because if a documentary is coming, if this moment becomes part of a larger narrative marking 30 years since Diana's death, then what we're seeing now isn't the climax. It's the setup, the introduction of characters, the emotional foundation, the first chapter of a story that hasn't fully revealed itself yet. And that's why the silence matters more than the noise. Because somewhere between Highgrove House, Althorp Estate, Kensington Palace, and Montecito, decisions are still being made. Lines are still being drawn. And the next move hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. Because the one thing this entire episode proves beyond doubt is this. Access to Diana's legacy is no longer controlled by a single gatekeeper. It's contested. And the moment multiple people start claiming control over the same legacy, the outcome is never quiet, never simple, and never contained. So the real question isn't what those photos meant. The real question is who they were meant for. And more importantly, what happens when the next set is ready.